Hello and welcome to another F-Zero recreation video with your host Captain JJ back at the helm. If you are enjoying the content that I am showing you today, please do subscribe and hit the notification bell to be notified of all my YouTube uploads and posts wherever. Now, we are moving on to our next machine, which is number 18 on the list. Last time round we did number 17, which was Green Panther. This time round we are moving on to number 18, which is Hyperspeeder driven by Beastman, who is just a beast hunter for hire, but that's another story. So we are just going to set off here with the colour. I've decided to go for a darkish greenish colour to match the Hyperspeeder. This is going to be a combination of both the anime and the F-Zero XGX continuity version. So first off, this element is borrowed from the GXX version is to grey the front part of the nose, which I'm just doing here. In order to get the grille and the winglets, you need to go to other. While we just do the front here, I've noticed here it hasn't quite covered all the bits, and no matter what I did, it just wasn't covering it. So we're just going to move on a little bit onto the sides to finish that section off. So what I'm doing here is using predominantly squares so that I can get it all lined up. So here we go now. And if it doesn't quite fit, always just you can always turn it. And if you want to do the other side very quickly, you can press duplicate. So we're just having a look at the front. We have to go back to the other side as I'm not satisfied with it. So I'm just going to make sure it all covers that area, which it does. And also because I did it on other, it covers the little winglet part. So we're just going to finish up by covering this little part here. And there we go. Cover that in grey, and that's that front section done. So the next part is the XGS part, which is a yellow ribbon, which is also used. So we're just going to turn that 90 degrees, push it up towards the top part of the machine off the bonnet, and then stretch it out like so. And we're going to colour that yellow, a nice darkish yellow like so, because it's predominantly green, yellow and grey. So in order to extend the line, I am just going to go to the side of the machine and get the similar sort of length of what I did earlier and extend it to the wheel arch. So find the one here. Oh, hold on a minute, that's not the right size. So if you make an error, you can always replace the deck out and make sure it's the correct one. So we're just going to go for the narrow version like so. Colour a yellow. Make sure it lines up. If it doesn't line up, you can always rotate it to make sure it does. I'm okay with that. Duplicate on the opposite side. I realised that wasn't quite the way I intended it to, so just delete that. And then I tried to do it symmetrically, but it did exactly the same thing. So we're just going to move it so it lines up like so, and that's the yellow ribbon done on the Hyperspeeder side. The front section is now complete with this now in mind. So now we're just going to move on onto the other side. This is more of the XGX continuity. The anime version doesn't have this version, so we are going to do a little triangular part. So we're just going to take this 90 degrees like so. Make sure it's a rectangular. I'm going to move it more towards the wheel arch because it goes into that area. And then we're going to colour that in red like so. Duplicate it on the opposite side. Now we're going to speed up a little bit just to speed the process up a bit. Make sure when you're doing this, you have a nice... Make sure it comes naturally. Now as you see, it didn't there. Now it does. Duplicate on the opposite side to get that section done. So now we're going to move on onto the numbers. I said we're going to move on to the numbers. Now in the both continuities, it's more to the right hand side of the machine, more near the front of the machine rather than the right. So I'm just going to go through the numbers. 1A18. I'm using the GX numbers, which have been so kindly imported. Very nice they are. Move that across and I duplicate on the opposite side. Now I realise this is not the right order. Hold on, we don't want to be doing that. What we need to do really is replace the decals. Change the 8 to a 1 and 1 to the 8. You get the idea, okay? So let's just find that. There we go. And I realise it's not towards the red than it should be on the left hand side. So what we're going to do is move it more to the left so that it's more nearer to the line. So that with that in mind, the number on the section is done. Just had a quick look around to see whether I'm satisfied with it. I am satisfied with it. So we've finished that section up. Now we are going to move on. Well, when this matter comes along, we're going to move on onto the roof section. So in order to do the roof section, we need to be lined up correctly. Make sure it doesn't overly go too much. So we're going to take a square here. We're going to speed up the footage a bit just to aid the process. So the idea here is to make sure it doesn't go too far towards the cockpit, but also it doesn't overextend to the rear, because the yellow sections don't go to the very rear of the machine. Now if it goes a little bit too much, you can always decrease the size. Okay, so that's fine. So now we duplicate on the opposite side, but we needed to color it in first before we do that to save an extra step. So now we're going to move on to the roof section. There we go, that's better. Make sure when you're doing a section, make sure you've got it set on the right camera, because if you don't, it's going to mess you up a bit. And then we're going to move on to the rear of the machine to make sure it all lines up like so. I don't know why I duplicate on the other side. It's just one section, so we just cut out a yellow. And also at last we are going to do the wind, whatever you call it, the rear section of the machine. Cut out in the same color, and there we go. That's the section. That's the middle part of the section completed for Hyperspeeder. So now we're going to move on into the other side, which are stars, which is also included in the GX version of the machine. Number of red stars. So back to decors, use the 5-pointed star. And use the smaller version, this one with the smaller side. So we're just going to stick that in, and then we're going to color that in the same color as we did earlier. So this is going to be a continuous duplication process. So what we're going to be doing is speeding up the footage a little bit more so that we don't waste too much time with it. If you are enjoying the video so far, please do subscribe and hit that notification bell to be notified of all my YouTube uploads. I do daily uploads over Gran Turismo, F-Zero, Mario Kart, and others. This is a weekly project, the F-Zero Machine Recreation, being released every Sunday. So this week is Hyperspeeder, next week will be Space Angler. So as we continue doing the star section, here's that little notification thing just to be aware of. You can always subscribe and hit the notification bell to be notified of all my YouTube doings. As we continue doing these stars, it looks like more like the stars of the Star Spangled Band, whatever it is. You know, the US national anthem, that sort of thing. Now I realise there's something I haven't quite done here. And that's something is that the fact I'm missing a star on that section, so which was overlooked unfortunately, so it will be added on at a later time. So now we're going to move on to the rear wing section, which has 3 yellow lines. So we're just going to do this very quickly on the rear wing. Let's find the line, shall we? There we go. So we're going to put these into 3 equal sections. The sides are done first and then one in the middle. And then we're going to color it with the same yellow as we did for the middle part of the machine. So when that's done, it's there. Back to the side again. We are now going to add a few more triangular bits, which are included on the rear of the machine on both versions. Not as notable on the anime version than it is on the XGX version. So we're going to make sure it's more on the XGX continuity rather than the anime. It looks better on that version. So we're just going to reduce the size of the star, move it so that excuse me, move it so that it's just showing a small triangle, duplicate on the opposite side, preferably colouring it in before we do that, and then we duplicate it, move it down, and we're going to do this a couple more times on either side. Then while we're doing that, we do that, and then duplicate, down we go again, and then duplicate opposite side, and that's the side of the machine completed. So we're just going to move on now to the last part of this machine, which is the air ducts, which are used on some machines but not all of them. So what we're going to do here is go for a circle like so. We are going to do that size, and then we're going to color it in black first off. Let's find the black color. Let's find black, thank you. And we are now going to duplicate on the opposite side, and then when that's done, we're going to create a second circle. We're going to color that in grey, put that in, and then we're going to do the 3 stars. like so. Now, if you're wondering what that looks like the Mercedes one, doesn't it? It looks like... No, look. Now that looks like a clock. Oop, no, that wasn't quite right. So when you're done with that section, you duplicate it on the opposite side so that it will be even. So duplicate opposite side, then we're going to duplicate it again, move it up to the top, like so, and then duplicate again, and that's that last part done. So here is the final look of the machine. It looks like one of the better machines. So it looks pretty good. Next week is Space Hunger. That's coming out next Sunday. The daily uploads will continue. If you have enjoyed the video today, please do subscribe. Hit that notification bell to be notified of all my YouTube doings. The daily uploads will continue whether it's Gran Turismo 7, F-Zero, or Mario Kart 8. And that's it for the video. I'll be doing more Gran Turismo stuff on Monday, which is the first stream of the week. New daily races. And until then, it's goodbye from Captain JJ. See you next time.